order for you to speak positively over your life and speak positively into yourself, you have to stop feeling bad and sorry for yourself. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and yes, that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there's no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, it's not for you. Do not force it. Let it fly. But most importantly, grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. In this video, we're going to go over and discuss how to start thinking positively towards yourself and how to speak life over any situation, as well as what to do when you're facing negativity or having negative thoughts, with some recommendations, some reminders, disclaimers, and certain things that you need to be aware of. So starting off with the introduction, starting off with the topic of today's video, this is how we're going to start off the disclaimers. In order for you to speak highly of yourself, in order for you to be confident, in order for you to pour into yourself, you have to identify why you think negatively of yourself. Why is it so challenging for you to be positive? Now, of course, while you're marinating, while you're taking your notes, while you're writing this down, let's move into the second disclaimer. And each one I'm going to elaborate on, but that's the first thing we need to marinate with. Why do we even think negative about ourselves? The second disclaimer, once you're sitting with yourself and you're self-reflecting, is knowing that being positive is a choice, just like being negative is a choice. Being positive is a choice, being negative is a choice. You have to make a decision for yourself. In order for you to speak life, in order for you to raise your vibration, in order for you to elevate, in order for you to feel confident, you have to desire confidence. You have to want to better yourself. Until you want to better yourself and until you decide that you're going to better yourself, you're going to think negatively, especially if that was something that you were introduced to, that's something, that you were taught and shown from an early age, your childhood, adult years, from family, friends, communities, and etc. You don't have to be negative. You don't have to be positive. You're going to do what makes sense to you. But as your favorite mental health specialist who's here to inform, motivate, and educate, we choose positivity. I choose positivity every single day. And out of the 28 years of this life that I've been living for, 98% of the time, I am positive. The only 2% was when I had moments when I was around certain people and places and things who were not positive. So instead of blaming them for the 2%, I took my time to self-reflect. I removed myself, and now we're at 100%. Every day I choose to be positive. I don't care what's happening. This is something obviously that you have to practice, and this is why I'm speaking from experience, but it's a choice. We can be sad, we can be angry, we can be frustrated, which is normal, which is common. It's because you're a human, you have emotions. But it doesn't have to be a bad day every day. You don't have to be sad every day. You don't have to be anxious and depressed every day. So what? You were sad and depressed in your past. If you decide to choose to watch these videos, if you decide to choose to resonate and take what you need and leave the rest, if you decide to choose to elevate, then you have to be intentional. It's very simple. In order for me to continue to think positively of myself and to hold myself accountable, I had to choose to. That's it. You have to choose to speak life into yourself, especially if you don't have people and places and things who are pouring into you or you weren't taught and shown. Just because you didn't grow up learning certain things or you haven't been exposed to certain things doesn't mean that you have to continue that. Doesn't mean that you have to continue to surround yourself with people who make you feel bad for choosing positivity. And that's the third disclaimer. Once you decide to be positive, once you decide to elevate, you have to surround yourself with people who are positive. You can't surround yourself with people who are negative, who are constantly complaining, who compare themselves, who are envious, who have low self-esteem, who have insecurities, especially if they're not willing to seek assistance from a therapist, a psychiatrist, or their God, the ancestors, and universe. Take what resonates, leave the rest, because we're not here to force religion or spirituality. You cannot help somebody or save somebody who doesn't want to be saved. So once you decide that you want to be positive, like I said, once you decide you're intentional and you're watching these videos and you're turning on your post notifications and you're subscribing, it's up to you now. In order for you to speak positively about yourself or think positively about the world, you have to surround yourself with that. So the fourth disclaimer is that when you're choosing to be positive, when you're choosing to separate from people and places and things that no longer resonate with you, you have to be okay with that. You have to become confident. That's how you're going to learn how to speak life into yourself. That's how you're going to start thinking highly of yourself. You cannot feel guilty or embarrassed or ashamed. So many people feel guilty and embarrassed and ashamed because they've been taught to think less of themselves from people who were guilty, embarrassed, and ashamed. They were taught and exposed by people who thought negative about themselves and negative about the world. If you surround yourself with negative people, subconsciously, if you don't know how to think for yourself, if you're not a positive thinker, if you're not confident, you will start to think that way. You will limit your thoughts and your surroundings based off of what's in front of you. You have to know that there's more to life. There are good people in this world. There are bad people in this world. You get to decide where you want to be. So last disclaimer before we get into the recommendations is that when you are speaking life into yourself, you have to give yourself time. You have to give yourself patience. You have to give yourself grace. Why? Because once again, if you're unpacking this trauma with me or your therapist or your psychiatrist or God, the ancestors, universe, you have to realize that you've been conditioned and raised to think a certain type of way. So when you decide to no longer relate to this information or this mindset or these ideologies or these beliefs, you have to give yourself time to unlearn everything that you were installed. You have to be able to unpack. In order for you to release these negative thoughts, you have to accept that at one point in your life you were negative. You have to accept that you had insecurities. You have to accept that you doubted yourself. You have to accept that you were taught to think less of yourself. You have to accept that you saw people in your family and loved ones not be confident. That requires a lot of time. Like, so many people think they're just gonna heal in a day. Like, some people can, but it's just like, if you're not there, you gotta be patient. Like, you gotta be practical about what you're able to do. So it's like, you are going to have moments, you're going to go through an experience of withdrawals. Like, some days may seem better than others, but it's like, as long as you're willing to be patient and you're giving yourself grace and you're practicing and you're booking your service and your session with me, your favorite mental health specialist, an orthopedic physician, you're seeing a psychiatrist, you're going to therapy, you're going to God, you're praying, whatever you need to do, over time you will see results. But it's like, it's no need for you to have everything figured out in a day, especially if you've been conditioned to think a certain type of way for 20, 30, 40 plus years. So now, we yapped a lot, we talked a lot. Let's get into the recommendations. Make sure you have your pen and paper, and like always, thank you for turning on your post notifications if you're not already subscribed at this point, and thank you for liking the video. The first recommendation when speaking life to yourself goes back to the first disclaimer. Why do you feel like, I need you to answer this question, and I need you to write it down. So answer it in the comment section, answer it on your notes. Why do you feel like you can't think highly of yourself? And take your time. Like I said, you don't have to have everything figured out. If you do, kudos to you. If you don't, you're only one person. But my question to you is, and I need you to answer this, and I need you to verbally acknowledge. I need you to articulate yourself. You can't suppress your feelings over here. We make you think and we make you speak, okay? We make you feel. Excuse me. Why do you feel like you can't think highly of yourself? Let me know. The second recommendation, which ties into the first one, once you're able to identify why you think it's so hard or so challenging for you to think highly of yourself, I want you to ask yourself if you genuinely feel that way about yourself. Do you genuinely feel like you're a loser or somebody that's less than? Or was that something that you were taught and shown? Was that something that you witnessed? Did somebody bully you? Is that something that happened to you? I need you to identify if it's true or if it's false. And once you identify if it's true or false, I need you to come up with your conclusion on why. So if you do think like you can't think highly of yourself because somebody told you that you weren't good enough and you don't feel that way, I want you to then say that is not true. But if you do feel that way, I want you to elaborate. So if somebody told you that you weren't good enough and you believe it, why do you believe that? You have to release how you're feeling. You can't suppress how you feel. Once you stop suppressing how you feel, once you become vulnerable, once you become honest, we can then now, which is the third recommendation, come up with solutions, such as confronting what happened to you from a people, place, or thing. If somebody told you that you are nobody and you know that's not true, what can you do to confront that thought or that feeling or that attachment that you have, whether it's to that person or just yourself? And this doesn't mean that you have to call people, that you have to have sit down conversations with people. Unless these people care about you, of course, yes, you can call people, you can confront people. I would recommend having adult grown woman to grown man and grown man to grown woman conversations. If these people are no longer in your life, You need to do this for you, because you're not always going to get closure from other people. So if people ever say anything to you, I need you to sit with yourself, and I need you to know that that's not how you're feeling, but you want to come up with a conclusion, such as denouncing or denying how you feel. So if somebody said that you were a nobody, I want you to let them know that you have no say so over my life. You're not important. I don't validate you. So what you think about me is just your opinion. And honestly, when people project and deflect onto you, it has everything to do with them versus it actually being you. Because it's like, if you know you're not out here hurting and harming people, other people having opinions of you, they don't have to. They really don't. So it's just like, when it comes to you speaking highly of yourself, the fourth recommendation is practicing. Whenever you have negative thoughts or negative emotions, I want you to ask yourself, why do I feel this way? I also want you to sit with your emotions. So either identify how you feel and, like I said, deny it, rebuke it, block it, or I want you to sit with yourself. Why do I feel mad? Why do I feel angry? Why am I so triggered? Why do I feel challenged? Why do I feel insecure? Why? You need to start questioning yourself. If you're not going to question other people, you need to question yourself. Why? Why do I have these negative thoughts? What's causing me to feel negative? What happened? What triggered you subconsciously, emotionally, physically, financially? Like, you got to start clocking, you got to start catching it, you got to start peeping it immediately. Why do I feel negative thoughts when such and such says this or somebody does this? And sit with yourself. It's okay to be sad and mad and confused and frustrated in the moment, but we can't allow these frustrations and these feelings to linger. We can't allow them to dwell, because then they harvest, and then you become cold-hearted, and then you just self-sabotage yourself, and that's when the mental mind games start to come in. So the fifth recommendation is that whenever you are having negative thoughts, negative emotions, if you're not able to identify how you feel or express yourself, which was the fourth recommendation, you need to find healthy ways to cope with that emotion. If you're not going to therapy, if you're not praying, if you're not going to God, if you're not into the universe, if you're not into the ancestors, you need to be able to talk to something or somebody. Whether it's people you love, your neighbors, your dog, your fish, your pets. Like, you have to be able to express yourself, or you could journal. So I'm challenging you to find ways, healthy ways to communicate and express yourself. You could book your service and your session with me. My website is in the description. Go to a psychiatrist, go to a therapist, go to God, something, but you have to be able to be vulnerable. Like, in your journal, you can write down how you feel, or you can record yourself speak. I know people speak to themselves when they're by themselves. You can talk to yourself when you're alone, or, in the bathroom. I know people talk to themselves in the mirror. Whatever floats your boat, but I need for you to take a moment to yourself. Or if you're not able to express yourself, I need you to take a moment, stop what you're doing, and relax. Listen to music, go to sleep, meditate, but you can't allow these negative thoughts to win. This is something that you're constantly going to have to practice. And until you're ready to do this exercise and you practice, it will constantly be a psychological warfare, as people like to say. At the end of the day, only you get to decide how you react or respond. Only you has the power to deny people and places and things that are evil or wicked or negative towards you. Like, you don't have to agree with negativity. You don't have to agree with negative thoughts. You don't have to agree with negative people. So with that being said, I'm going to end off the video. Like always, thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Thank you for turning on your post notifications and subscribing. And thank you so much for engaging. Let me know what resonates with you. Let me know what you need to work on. Follow me on all my social media platforms. All the information is down in the description box below. Head to my Instagram and on TikTok if you're ready to have one-on-one conversations. If you didn't book your service in your session, which is in my description, you guys got that little sticky stuff on my lips. And like I said, if you're not able to book a service in session, go on TikTok. We're going to chat. We're going to yap. I'm going to be answering you guys' questions. You guys can join the live, okay? So yeah, like, we can see what's the vibes. But we got to start speaking positive. We got to start speaking life into ourselves. Like, the power of the tongue is real. You can't say the power of the tongue is real and then speak negatively. And you can't say you believe in a God, ancestor, universe, but then you're constantly doubting yourself. You're confused. You're conflicted. And that's not, it doesn't make sense. 1 + 1 is 2. Okay, we got to make it make sense. We got to take our time, but most importantly, we need to identify like why we even feel this way. Because once you decide that you don't want to be negative or that you don't want to be insecure, you don't have to. And anything or anybody who makes you feel that way, like subconsciously or physically or like psychologically, you got to remove yourself from them. And that's a different topic within itself. Okay, love you. Bye.